Hey, everybody. All right, sorry for that delay. I was actually trying a new piece of technology that was not working, and I could not figure it out. So we'll just go live through YouTube. Apologies. I actually had this whole presentation that I was going to share with you guys. So um, I don't want to delay anymore. So let's just hop into it. Thank you guys so much for submitting a bunch of questions to me. I'm going to pull up your questions now, and we're going to just walk through them in no particular order. And I'm very excited because you guys are asking some amazing questions. Okay, so let's just get it started. I hope I'm saying this right. Chosda Musings. What is your name, by the way? If you're watching right now, drop me your name because I would love to just know what your name is and be able to talk to you face to face. All right, so your question is a good one. What are your top 3 items to have in your portfolio? To answer this question, this is very much going to depend on your services. So, if you are a creative virtual assistant, I think last time we talked a couple months ago, you mentioned you were doing some TikTok reels. You want to emphasize your niche or your core services for your business, and you want to be able to showcase those either on your website or so like you can link to TikTok reels from clients that you've built before. You can either take screen grabs or do video recordings. So the next time you make a reel, if you either have that MP4 file or do a video recording of what you've just done for your client, you can actually keep that video recording on even links like your LinkedIn page. LinkedIn has this awesome space on the profile itself where you can share different links. So you can showcase some of these Instagram reels that you're building and then include a little blurb about who this client was, what you built for them, what their goal was, what the results were. Now, if you're not a creative virtual assistant, and again, I wish this other streaming software was working because I have a PDF that I was going to share with you guys today. Another virtual assistant. Hello. Another thanks for joining today, by the way. Another virtual assistant shared with me her portfolio for creative services, and it was so good. It actually ended up getting her hired. So I just connected her with somebody Monday of this week, and basically her portfolio. She is a more creative virtual assistant. She does a lot of graphic design. She does Instagram, a lot of Instagram stuff. So she took screen grabs of the Instagram grids that she was building for people, and a little blurb about who this client was, why she built it. Hey, Monica. So that was a really good one, and I'm gonna see I can probably link to it actually in our community forum. So I'll just include a link so that you can actually see what her creative portfolio looks like. Now, if you're not a creative virtual assistant, like myself, I'm not a creative VA. I'm a general admin VA. Do a lot of general stuff. So a lot of people ask, what can a general admin person do to showcase a portfolio? And this is where it gets really fun because we don't necessarily need a portfolio of work. When we were just doing um, admin type stuff, what works better than a portfolio are testimonials. So if you have previous clients or current clients that you can ask for testimonials, this could be a couple sentences about the work that you've done for them, what worked well, what did they enjoy about the work that you provided. Are you particularly efficient? Are you productive? Are you a great forethinker? Are you great at planning out things? Are you great at travel booking? Whatever that is, you can include those testimonials on places like your website, like your LinkedIn. You can even include a blurb, a sentence testimonial at the end of your email signature. So any emails you send out to future clients can include, a testimonial on the bottom. So there are different ways to kind of showcase your work. But if you want to get kind of creative with it yourself and you're doing admin assistance, you're doing general admin, not creative stuff, and you're like, I still want to show people what I can do, you can create your own calendar grid. Like you could go onto your own Google Calendar or your own Outlook and you could create your own color block grid as if you were booking stuff for another client. You could screen grab that calendar and then, post that on your LinkedIn again in that like space where they let you showcase stuff. And there you're like, "Hey, look at this, this is how I like to do calendar management for my clients. I color code so you can see what's travel versus calls versus meetings. I put buffer time in so you're never doing back-to-back meetings." So there are ways again to get creative with it, and because we ourselves are the business owners, we can totally make up what those portfolio type things look like. So that's a great question. Shows that if you're watching and you have other questions, especially as pertains to creative stuff, and you're wondering what else to put in there, just pop in here and I'll answer that more specifically. All right, next question. As a new VA, what's the first thing we can do with zero experience? Should I volunteer? I am so thrilled that you asked this question because we have so much to talk about. You might be surprised when I say, do not volunteer your time. It usually doesn't work, and I'm gonna tell you why offering your volunteer time to other VAs typically doesn't lead to any work. So, imagine don't imagine, how I'm trying to think of how to word this. If, if you were to approach me, for example, and say, "Give me some work from your clients, I'll do it, and then give me some feedback." The reason that usually falls flat is because on one hand, the client work that I have with my clients is very secure. Clients trust me just as the VA to know the ins and outs of their business. They also are used to a certain quality of work, and I have had other VAs say, "Can you give me work and then give me some feedback?" The thing is, if I delegate to you what clients are giving to me and the quality is either just not there, it's not great, or we have to do a little bit of training, it's a big drain on my time, and my time is my greatest resource. And also, so it becomes kind of like you're asking somebody to mentor, um, and at the same time, I would probably never share your work with my clients. And again, that's just because they're used to a certain style, or they're it's a relationship that not a lot of VAs want to cross that line. So it's very atypical. Very atypical. I've talked to so many other assistants who have been approached for people being like, "Hey, can you give me some of your client work and I'll do it for you for free?" And usually nobody takes them up on that. And again, it's just because our business is based on our work and our productivity. If we're all of a sudden introducing a different style or different work, or the quality is a little different, it's not going to come back on you. It's going to come back on us. Our clients are going to be like, "Whoa, what happened there?" So it's usually not a risk people are willing to take. But I want to tell you this, not because I want you to be like, "Oh, this stinks. Like, what do I do?" The good news is that you actually don't need to volunteer your time. I also believe that you deserve to be paid for all of your work. So if you are just endlessly volunteering your time with other virtual assistants, and, who's to say they'll teach you anything at all? They might just be like, "Yeah, it's great," or "No, it's not." So what you'll actually just be confident in knowing that when you start working with clients, you will learn on the job. You absolutely will. But to answer, I guess, the second part of that question is, so you're saying you have zero admin experience. Um, Tell me a little more, like right now in the chat, about what kind of experience you have, if any, with any admin. And I'm talking like, have you ever booked travel, booked flights for yourself or your family? Or have you ever had to manage your own calendar? Like, I'm just trying to think of other admin type stuff that you might have actually done for yourself or your family or your friends, that is translatable. You can translate it to, just replace yourself with a client. Whatever quality of work you do for yourself, you would also do this for your client. So I'm curious to hear if there is some overlap there. But if you're wondering where to get experience, YouTube is going to be your best friend. Excuse me. Post lunch, excuse me. YouTube is going to be your best friend. So if you know, as a new VA, that you're like, "I'm actually a little uncertain about what it looks like to manage someone's calendar," go to YouTube, and watch 10 different people from 10 different perspectives about how they manage clients' calendars. There are lots of VAs who teach stuff like that on YouTube, myself included. There are other VAs who teach the same thing. So you'll kind of get a sense for how these people are doing it or what tools people are using. And it's the same for lots of different skills. If you're, if you're asked to do travel booking, Google best travel tools, Google best flight booking tools. Just YouTube these things and watch these videos, and you'll get a sense for what you like and what you don't like. And that is to say that when you watch these videos, if you're watching a video about travel management and somebody recommends Kayak for booking flights, be your own test case. Pretend that you are your own client and you're like, I need to fly to India tomorrow. So book me a flight to Mumbai and like book it yourself. So like do all the steps. Really pretend that if you are your own client, what do you need to know? You need to find flights, comfortable flights. You need to present it in an email that is easy to read. Then you need to, let's just say your client's like, yeah, book it, fake book the flight, and then add those details to a calendar. So there are ways that you can kind of train yourself without volunteering your time or without like really wasting time to try to find VAs to give work to you. And then in the interim, while you're learning the skills that you are interested in or want to know more about on YouTube, also be looking for clients. And this I could do 14,000 videos. Hello. I could do 14,000 videos about how to look for clients. Yeah, Google and YouTube are still my 2 number 1 tools for life. I have never stopped learning new skills. So just and like we're so lucky that all this is free. Um, while you are learning your own things, you're probably wondering how the heck do you actually find your first client? Still the number 1 way to find your first clients is through referrals and your immediate network. So it's through your family, it's through your friends, it's through current bosses or previous bosses. So if you've had a job, my first job was working at an ice cream parlor in college. If I were looking for a client right now, if I were still in touch with the owner of that ice cream store, I would reach out to him and be like, "Hey, remember me when I was scooping ice cream for you? This is my new business that I'm doing, and if you have anyone in your network who might need my services, I would love to work for them. It's so great to talk to you again." It's just that kind of referral and groundwork that you really need to put in, and it can take time. But that was my very long-winded way of saying I don't want you to volunteer your time and ask other VAs to give you work. I just don't think it's worth your time, and it doesn't always translate to the work that you think it will. So that's an excellent question. Thank you so much for asking that. Okay, Monica, what's the best way for clients to share content with me for social media posts? And have I used Jotform? I love this question as well. Yes, I've used Jotform before. I've used Jotform, Typeform, and Wufoo, depending on what my clients wanted to use these for. So it sounds like your new client, congratulations on landing a client, is all about the Jotform. Since I know you're watching this video right now, if you can give me a little more detail about specific questions for Jotform, maybe what your client's using it for, what she's asked you to use it for, what your specific questions are about it. But yeah, this question you asked about what's the best way for clients to share uh, like posts or graphics. There's a bunch of different. Okay, so the first thing I always want to do when I have a new project with a client, especially social media management, which I have done for clients before, you want to ask them if they have a preferred tool. So that's always my first step because it prevents me from doing a lot of additional homework. If I'm like, hey, this Airtable looks awesome, let's use it. And they're like, I don't want to learn a new tool. I use Google Drive. So your first thing is you always want to ask, do you have a preferred way to send me things? Second to that, if they say no, or they've already thrown it back on you, and maybe your client's like, Monica, I do not know how to get this info to you in an organized way, then you have a great decision to make. And I also love that they are giving you the power to do this because you get to do whatever tool makes the most sense for you. So that could be as simple as Google Drive. Like you create a folder. Okay. Okay. Why you is it I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. Wayuni? Well, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You can, like, phonetically correct me because I wanna get the pronunciation right. I see your comment. Oh, very rare with a computer. I'm going to get back to you in a second. Okay. Okay, Monica, she's a catering business and she wants oh, awesome. Oh, that's super fun. Okay. That's great that she's thinking about forms because I actually work with somebody who is a chef and Uni. Okay, very nice to meet you, Uni. So I do work with a chef, and he sends out PDFs, and it's very annoying because everyone emails back like 20 different options. So yeah, so a form like Jotform is a good option for her because you can just drag and drop certain items in where you could be like, here are the appetizers, select 5, here are the entrees, select 10, whatever. So that actually does make sense. I'm assuming that their responses either go to you or her or both. That's awesome. Um, I guess let me know if you have any specific questions about Jotform. I think Jotform is pretty user friendly and straightforward. Since I have used Jotform before, and I've used other services like Wufoo and Typeform, but Wufoo and Jotform I think are the most similar. And Typeform, no, sorry, so many forms. Jotform is great, but sometime my only pet peeve with that service is that sometimes I find it quits randomly or stops working randomly. So my advice to you is make sure that you're constantly saving like every 5 seconds if you're building a new form or changing a catering form. Just make sure you're saving that updated form constantly. I can't tell you how much work I've lost before using that tool. So yeah, so if she's saying to you, she's got food pictures or whatever, if she already has stuff created, you get to tell her how to share it with you. So you could create a bunch of different folders in Google Drive, and she could simply upload those either from her phone or her computer. And then at whatever point, like you go in, yes, it does. So Jotform does capture responses. It is a little different than Google Forms in that Google Forms will send you the responses in a spreadsheet, whereas Jotform, just like these other services, will send you an email that I think is a lot easier to read. So it doesn't come out in a spreadsheet form. It comes out in um, trying to think of like basically when you look at it, you'll see the responses like based on the circles that they click. So I think it's actually easier to read than Google Forms. I like these services better than Google Forms just because Google, um, the spreadsheet's annoying and it's not that convenient. Plus, Jotform will email you when somebody, or you can set notifications for these forms to email you when someone responds. So I also find sometimes Google Forms doesn't email me, and I'll go look at my Google Forms link and I'm like, shoot, there are 10 responses that I just did not see. Um, so yeah, so I guess Monica, let me know if she's asking you to create graphics. If she's not, um, I'm just going to throw out some different tools for you. There's Google Drive, there's Box, there's Dropbox. She just simply drops pictures into those things. If she has written content, there's a tool that I really like called Airtable. Airtable is very visual. Think of Airtable like a really visual Excel. It's free and the learning curve is small, but there is a slight one. So Airtable, you can color code it, you can tag things. So she could color code or tag like posts that are written. She could color code and tag posts that have pictures associated with it. She can actually drag and drop the pictures or the graphics associated with her content, her written content into the cell. I wish I could show you what it looks like just as like a screen share. You know what? Actually, Monica, if you do decide to use Airtable, I have a very old video that's an Airtable tutorial, and the user interface really has not changed. So that's a good one to check out. I use Airtable with my clients for social media posting just because it allows us to work with pictures. It stores their photos they want to post. It allows them to type in content, and it allows me to like I can type in my own content that I think is good to share, and they can give me a yay or a nay. Throw it at me. Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, so Monica, for you, check out Airtable, watch my Airtable tutorial. It will help if she's like, no, I don't want you to create stuff. I just want to tell you what to do. Airtable's good. If she doesn't wanna sign up for a new tool, then Google Sheets would be your probably second best because everybody that uses Gmail or Google has access to Google Sheets. You don't need to sign up for anything. It's also free. It's basically a spreadsheet where you 2 can be live in the document at the same time. She can share, uh, written posts of things that she wants you to post, including, like, when to post it. So think of just different cells, that you would build out. It would be, like, the content itself, when your client wants to share it, what platform they wanna share it to, whether it's, like, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etcetera. And then you could have a little column at the end that says, like, "Was it posted? Yes or no?" And then, if she has corresponding graphics, Airtable's best, but if she doesn't wanna use that, then have her pop it into a Google Drive, and you'll just have to piece it together. Um, okay, I know you guys have more. Oh, okay, uni, we're going back to your question. Okay, at the moment, you're a housewife. So I'm excited for you because you have experience working in a hotel and in a restaurant. Um, Now I remember this wasn't a course you taught. Yeah, it totally was. I love Airtable. Oh, yeah. Monica, if you took the course about, skills training, it was in the social media. So you still have access to that. Go back to that, rewatch it because that section alone is gonna be really, really helpful. Okay, so Uni, I'm really excited because something that you have a benefit for is by working in a hotel and working as a waitress, you have the extra benefit of having talked with people and working with people. So you know how sometimes it can be very hard to have this like happy, lovely disposition when you're working with clients. So I'm going to tell you one of my favorite open secrets of this industry is that people hire people as VAs that they like. So, I have met people before who have no social skills, no people skills whatsoever. And it honestly, it's very hard for them to find clients because if you are somebody who's never worked with people, like I've worked in restaurants before, I think it's great you work in a hotel. Most yes, yes. If you are not good with people and there's no smiles and you're not like asking them questions like, "Hi, how are you? What's happening in your business? What are your problems right now? Why are you looking for a VA?" If you don't ask any of those questions and you're not used to working with people, it's much harder to find a client. And I really can tell you this from experience. I have coached students before who we do pretend interviews and they get on the computer and I'm like, okay, I'm your client now. Like, ask me questions. And literally, they look like this. They go, "Hi, um, so why are you here?" I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." That's not, it's hard to teach to have like a more upbeat personality. So if you already have those skills. A lot of being a VA is managing clients. Like, yes, half of it is doing the work they want you to do, but a large part of this business is being able to have a conversation with a client. And when they like you, it's a lot easier for them to invest in you and invest in your business and give you things to do. So I want you to be confident and know that you are already doing good. You are already ahead of the curve. Everything that they assign to you, you will learn. It's just like working in a hotel or it's just like being a waitress. Um, for the first couple weeks, it might be hard to know which table to bring something to or what's on the menu, but you learn. And it's the same in this business. You will learn how you like to do things and what makes, what tools make your life faster and you'll learn. So I don't want you to feel nervous. Now, having said that, this is still across the board for everyone. Finding that first client can be a challenge. So first, let me just see if anyone. I think we had a couple more questions. Let's see. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Looking through questions. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. We had a couple more. Okay. Sweeta, if you end up watching, okay, you did also say, "Where can I find clients?" And then you referenced Facebook groups. Okay. So, really quick, for people who are here, can you comment if you already have a client or have found a client before? I would love to know where you found your first client. So drop that in the comments, because I'm curious to see if you got your first client online through a social media platform, or I'm curious to know if you got your first client by talking to people. So like oh, hey Carla. Uh, Clients were family members. Yes. So exactly what you did is usually how people get their first clients, friends and family. Um, the best thing is actually, uh, had a discovery call on a Facebook work group. Awesome. Amazing. Oh, volunteering. Yeah. Oof. I hate that. Okay. So that's okay. So Carla, if you were done or recently done working with this family member, or you're still working with this family member, I think your next step is to ask them for don't even ask them, tell them you're taking referrals. That means you write them an email and you're like, "Hey, um, you hired me for these services. This is what I've done for you. These are my rates moving forward." So on one hand, you're now putting it back on them, where you could be like, "You're going to start paying me," and then you can say, "Please forward this email to anyone in your network who you think could use my services." So that's just one way to start your referral pipeline. Super exciting for you guys, by the way. About these Facebook groups. That's great. And Monica, you landed 4 clients. That is epic. Um, and hey, okay, so for hashtag Chosta Musings, what is your name? Because I would love to be able to refer to you by first name. But very exciting that this is working on Facebook. So just like you guys have mentioned, Danielle, super nice to meet you. No, it's all cool. I just wanted to, I was like, I don't know what your name is, and I don't want to just call you nothing. So, um, so friends and family typically are the first way, like the very first client you get. The next tier of that is by sending an email or a LinkedIn message, but it's usually an email to people in your, I'll say, professional network. It doesn't even have to be the CEO or the boss or the manager. It can even be friends that you worked with. So friends that you worked with, or a manager at the hotel, or a manager at the restaurant, or a manager at whatever, previous jobs or university or whatever. Could be a professor. It's typically, though, people that you have talked to within the last year or 2 years. You would never reach out to somebody that you haven't talked to in 20 years and be like, "Hey, remember me from 20 years ago? I have a new business now." That doesn't quite work, but if there's somebody in your network that's more immediate, you can also send them an email laying out your services, your rates, of course, remind them if needed how you guys know each other or what you worked on together, and then be like, "I'm growing out my business. If you know of anyone, send them my way." And then the third tier of that is social media. And social media is fantastic for finding clients on whatever platform you decide to use. So I'm big on Twitter, I'm big on YouTube, I'm big on LinkedIn, and by big on, I mean I just use these platforms frequently. I enjoy them, they make sense for me. So, for me, I will make announcements on my social media, as in exactly what you guys did. I will announce new services. I will announce changes in my business. I will announce different things that I'm either expanding into or selling. So in some cases, clients will respond. It's usually people that you're connected with on social media. On the flip side, if you're new to social media and you don't have a lot of connections, and again, I have, if you go to my YouTube channel after this, I have, and then search in the search bar, I have videos that are like literally listed, like how to find clients on LinkedIn and how to find clients on Twitter. So for that, all social media, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, they have search bars where you can search for people's names, but you can also search for phrases. So every so often, I will go onto these platforms and I will search for phrases. And I will literally type in things like, I am looking for a virtual assistant, or I am hiring a virtual assistant, and just different phrases. And as I search through those posts, sometimes you get lucky and you'll find a post that someone has written, um, within the last week on LinkedIn, and they're like, "I need to hire a VA. Do you know of anyone?" So it stuff like that, it's actually wonderful. It happens all the time. So I'll just wrap that comment up with by saying this. There's a right way and a wrong way to pitch somebody on social media. If you today, for example, went onto Facebook and went into the search bar and searched, "I need a VA," let's just say you find somebody's post. I'm just going to pretend it's a startup entrepreneur. It's the CEO of some company who's like, "I'm ready to hire a VA today." If you respond to their post and just say like, "Hey, I'm a VA. Let's talk," or like, "I can do this for you," or even a link to your website, that probably won't lead to work because you are making this client do homework. Like, you're making their life harder by just being like, "Hey, I'm a VA. Let's talk." Number one, you've told them nothing about yourself or your business. Number two, if you just give them a link, you're basically asking them to click on it and research you before they decide if you're a good fit or not. And theoretically, if they're posting a job like this on social media, they're probably going to get hundreds of other virtual assistants who are also like, "I'm a VA." So in a sense, you're just gonna get lost in the shuffle because they're just gonna look at their 200 responses and be like, "Oh, like, I don't have time to go through 200 people." The people that they are going to want to talk to are the people that leave a comment like this. If you see a job posting on social media, you're gonna comment with, "Hey, so and so, I looked at your profile. I see that you're a blah 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 CEO of a startup. Your startup looks awesome. These are the services I provide." And then you list it out like, "I do calendar, I do travel booking, I can do your CRM, I can do your creative stuff, I can do Instagram," whatever. Just make it up. So list your services out. And then you say, "I'm going to send you a DM." That's a direct message. You say, "I'm going to send you a DM to continue this conversation." So the reason that that works is because you've now provided information for them. They don't need to go hunting for it. You also are bringing the conversation out of this very chaotic 200 chain, lots of chaos, and you're now in their inbox. Most people have their inboxes, their DMs are open. So you can just get into their DMs, slide into their DMs, as the kids say, and and then you can be like, "Hello, I'm just continuing the conversation here. Here's a reiteration of my services, and I'm really, I love what you do for your business. This looks right up my alley." Or I've worked with people in similar industries before. I would love to hop on a call and talk about why you're looking for a VA. So that is the ultimate goal, is that you always want to get people off of social media, and onto a phone call. Yeah. So this is your first client, or your first series of clients can often be your hardest part. But once you get the first client, it's all about referrals, friend. There's like a couple things you can do to really just make sure that you have this constant pipeline of work. Um, so if it's working with family and friends, you ask them for referrals. You ask them to share your info. At the same time, you're also on social media, Googling phrases and talking to people. And at the same time, if you get your first paying client after a couple months with them, so like Monica, for example, or Danielle, so you guys, after a month or two with your new clients, if you're like, "I love this person, work's going really well, they're really happy with everything, this is going great," that after, it could be as soon as a month, you send them an email asking for a referral. And it's the same thing. You're like, this is what you hired me for. This is what I'm doing for you. These are my rates. I'm growing my business. And if you have anyone in your network, please share my details with them. Because I think ultimately referrals feel scary, but you have to remember that clients are people and people like to help people that they like. And ultimately, people like to help. So referrals are still one of the number one ways to get clients as a VA. Um, yeah, so I think I answered all your questions that you guys left ahead of time. Danielle, I was talking earlier in the live stream. I don't know if you saw it. I started with your question um about what? You guys, I'm forgetting the name. About portfolio. So, if you have any specific questions, this live stream will just live up online so you can go back and watch it. But if now that you're here, if you have any specific questions about your portfolio, your creative work or admin work, or where you're thinking of sharing it, drop that comment in, and I am very happy to try to answer that. And if you guys have any other questions, speaking of, I know I just kind of gave you a whirlwind, a whirlwind explanation. Oh, cool, awesome. Yeah, if you, I'll just close it up by saying if you guys have any other questions that have popped up while I was talking, I know I gave you a whirlwind answer of like, this is how you find clients and ask for referrals. uh, and thank you. While we are waiting for any additional questions, thank you for joining me this month. I'm trying to think what else. Actually, if there's no other questions, let's just end on something fun. If you guys have had any major wins in your business, because everything deserves to be celebrated. And I'll just start. I had a big win for myself recently. I decided to. Oh, okay, good. I'm currently working full time. Yeah. Ooh. So, okay. So, Carla, this, I have been in your shoes before. I know how hard it can be to work full time and want to grow your business. So, my best tip for you is to scale slowly. What you don't want to do is accidentally get like 4 new clients at the same time, and then you're still working full time, and they're like, "Why is Carla not responding to my emails in a timely manner or getting work back to me fast enough?" So you don't wanna start with too much, because that's a good way to lose all your clients and not get any referrals because they won't have any confidence in your turnaround time. So, if you are with that family member, ask for referrals, hit your online presence hard, start pitching people, essentially start talking to people, who are posting things like, "I need a VA." Um, aim to land 1 new client, give yourself a deadline by the end of May, and, within the next 4 weeks, be aggressive, with your own approach online as you approach people. Or, I don't know if your full-time job, and you can write me this in the comments too, does your full-time job allow side jobs? Like, if you were to tell them that you're doing this, would they fire you or would they be okay with it? Because I guess the rest of my answer really depends on your business. Because I've worked with people who work full-time who are like, "Yeah, my company's cool with it." And if that's the case, I recommend that you set up a LinkedIn profile that's more centered towards your virtual assistant work. Um, because LinkedIn is a great asset for people who are looking for virtual assistants. But if you have a company who's not okay with it and and they're like, you absolutely cannot work a side job, then the unfortunate thing is you need to do it. I mean, I won't say secretly, but you need to do it, probably outside of, like, you can't have any mention of virtual assistant on your LinkedIn, which makes it a little bit harder. Not impossible because again, federal government. I'm in DC, all about the federal government. I've been trying to scale. Yeah. Okay. So federal government probably doesn't want you mentioning that you're working aside things. So yeah, it's hard. Okay, here's my best suggestion. Try to find more creative type admin assistants, or try to find a client, and I know I seriously, I empathize. I've been in your shoes. I know how hard it can be, but um, the best way to do this is to find clients who are okay with asynchronous work. So I'll give you an example. I have most of my clients are okay with async work, meaning they don't care when I get stuff done. So when you're talking to your potential clients, you want to say to them, "Are you okay with async work?" Like, you don't even wanna ask them, you just wanna be like, "Hey, um, this is how I run my business, I do stuff async, so when you email me a request in the morning, I will email you, as soon as I can, I'll email you that, like, got it, got your task request," and then be like, "I'll get this back to you in the next 24 hours." So that when you go home or you're done with work or you're on a lunch break or before work or whatever, like, you can do their tasks outside of your federal government job and outside your office hours. That might mean for you that for a little while you are pulling kind of long hours. Um, when I first started in this business, I worked in film. I was working 100-hour weeks, and I was trying to scale my own VA business outside of those hours, and it was long and hard. Sometimes I would go home at like 9 p.m. and have to get online and answer emails from my clients. So I do know how it can be. Just keep your eye on the prize and know that it won't always be like that, because as you set a number for yourself, set an income number for yourself as you grow your business slowly, as you get your first client, then your second, then your third. If you're like, okay, I'm making 4 grand a month through my business now, I'm ready to quit the government. Like, have a number in mind that you're like, okay, as soon as I make enough income from my VA work to pay all my bills, I'm going to leave my full-time job. And that way, like, you have protection, you have some income coming in, or you have enough money saved that if there's a couple slow months during VA work, you can pay your bills. I never recommend to anyone that they quit their job outright to do virtual assistant work, because it can take time sometimes. Sometimes you're lucky. Like, Monica, I'm so proud of you. You posted something and you got 4 clients. That's amazing. Sometimes it happens fast, but sometimes it can take weeks, it can take months. So, yeah, so I never recommend quitting a job outright. But again, having said that, it might be so you might have to find clients that are okay with creative work. That could be creating social posts, that could be doing social media stuff, because you could go home at night. Like, who cares at 10 p.m. if you're making Canva posts and scheduling those, on each social media platform? Like, you don't need to be doing that in the moment. So, like I said, most of my clients are async. They don't care when I get work done, just as long as it gets done by a certain time. But I do have 2 clients who absolutely cannot have me be async, and it is a little bit more difficult to work with them because I have to be online by their 9 a.m. They live in a different part of the country, but I have to make sure that I'm, like, checking my emails between, 9 to 5, because oftentimes they'll email me and be like, "Hey, in the next 30 minutes, I need to get on a plane." Like, it is honestly, it's that crazy that if I were working async and I would miss those requests, and they would fire me. Um, so you do have to be mindful not only about the types of clients that you're taking, but you also just have to be very upfront with them and open. So when you start talking to potential clients, just be like, I work async. I will get your tasks done, just maybe not, not like I'll answer you after 4 p.m. And it's good for you to tell them that, because if that's a problem and that doesn't mesh with their business or business hours, then you don't even really want to start working with them, because if you'd be super stressed, they would hate it, because, they'd be really dissatisfied. Ultimately, that's not gonna be great, and it's not gonna lead to client referrals because things just kind of fell apart. So honesty is always the best policy. Um, okay, Uni, for my portfolio, how can I convince the client? Okay, so I have more good news for you. There's really no formal training to be a virtual assistant. I'm a lot of people. You don't even need to be, you know what I mean? Like, you don't even have had to have been an executive assistant in an office. I meet tons of successful VAs who have had 0 experience in doing this, and your so yeah, okay, so even for you, I would just put your education in the hospitality industry because a lot of the things in hospitality does translate to admin stuff. It's organization, it's productivity, it's efficiency, it's working with clients. So you can get creative about the types of things that you are saying. Like if you have skills, you know what I mean? Like you have transferable skills. You do. Nobody comes in, nobody lives life with no skills. So I want you at the end of this call, Uni specifically, to do what I call a skills brainstorm. And I want you to write down everything you've done in hospitality, whether it's hotels or restaurants or whatever. And I want you then to ask yourself, are the skills that you're writing down transferable online? So, like, here's what I mean. Like, even if you write down everything, even if you write down that like you deliver food really quickly. I want you to be like, I am a really efficient worker. Like everything is transferable. Um, Clients also usually don't ask for your work history. They usually don't care. And I know that sounds crazy, but especially true for clients who have never worked with a VA before. Usually what happens is they get on a phone call with you and they're like, I've never worked with a VA before. What do we do? And so it's really up to you to be like, great. Tell me about your business. Like, what are you struggling with? What are your goals? What do you envision for me doing as your VA? How can I be the best partner for you? Oftentimes, it's just, again, like, Uni, you got this because if you're used to talking to people and being a good client facing person, that is half the battle, literally half the battle. And you're already ahead of the curve. So people probably they'll typically not ask for your resume. They'll typically not ask for your work history, your education. I've literally never had anyone ask me for my education. In my like 12 years of doing this, I've had one man ask for referrals, just one. And so that will just, if, I hope that puts you at ease. Um, it's really more about you being confident in your call. So how can you show your person, your prospective client on a call that you are confident, that you can do this, that you are ready to learn, you are ready to join their business as a partnership. So that's really more important than your education. Carla, should I remove my full-time position? Um, if your job will not fire you, like literally, if your federal government job will not, if they have an HR department or if a manager, if they will not call you and be like, what's going on with your LinkedIn? Or you cannot have another job, then no, you have to keep it up. But okay, actually I have questions. Carla, tell me more. Will your job fire you if you put virtual assistant on your LinkedIn profile? Second to that, while you're typing a response, I never think you should remove full-time positions. So on LinkedIn, you have an experience list. Oh, you are HR. So you're like, I will fire myself. Okay. um, okay. Here's how we could do this. This is what I like to call flying under the radar on LinkedIn. Keep your HR position on LinkedIn as is. If you know that you'll be in trouble, um, for removing it or putting virtual assistant front and center, don't do it. Here's what you will do, however. So keep your full-time position as is. Under the experience section of your LinkedIn, you're going to simply add a position. So you're just going to add freelance virtual assistant. Typically, this will fly under the radar if people at your company are not looking to deeply at your profile because it does require people to scroll down to see your work history and your experience. Um, so yeah, it can be it's one of these things that you honestly you hope will fly under the radar. And The reason you want to at least include somewhere on your LinkedIn profile the terms virtual assistant is because LinkedIn is very keyword rich. So when people are searching for virtual assistant type stuff, you want to give your profile every opportunity to come up in one of these searches when people are typing in virtual assistant. You don't wanna have a second profile. So if you find yourself thinking, "Should I just create a second profile for virtual assistant work?" No, that almost never works. First of all, if LinkedIn realizes and it's a huge platform, yes, but if their AI or someone figures out that you have 2 platforms, they actually say in the rules you can't have one and they'll delete one of them. Second to that, your HR people or your government people will probably, if they're searching your name, your second profile will come up anyway, and they'll be like, "Are you also working a side job?" So that kind of defeats the purpose. And three, it just dilutes. It's confusing, and it just dilutes. Client. If you give your client, a potential client, your name, and they go look at you on LinkedIn, and your HR stuff comes up anyway, they're going to be like, "Is this the same person?" So that can be a little tricky. But my recommendation is no. If you're going to get in trouble, don't remove it. Just add virtual assistants in your experience, or even in the about summary. Bury it under there where you're like, I do HR, blah blah blah, and then underneath you can be like, um, and I also am doing freelance work. Yeah, it's a little bit trickier. Um, LinkedIn is not the end all be all. It is a great platform for VAs, but if you can't do it, no worries. You can still find and build clients on your own through friends and family referrals, through emails to specific people for referrals, and through going through other social media sites, like Facebook, like Twitter, even LinkedIn. I mean, heck, just my favorite thing about this business is that you can just be really honest. So even if you search on the search bar on LinkedIn, like I'm seeking a virtual assistant, and you find a potential client that you're like, this person looks good, I can work with this person, send them a DM, be like, hey, I'm just building my business. Here's my profile, but like this is what I do full time. I'm building my business on the side, so I work async. Here's how we could work together. So again, honesty is usually the best policy, and I think that's a way that you could maybe get around it. Uni, I'm learning to improve skills. Awesome. Email etiquette, great. Oh no, you got this. You need to practice. I mean, email etiquette is fortunately a learnable skill. So yeah, if you're taking courses, if you're watching YouTube, yeah, my favorite tip for email etiquette. Uh, yeah. Hey, Sweeta. Hey, if you're already enrolled in one of my courses, you always have access to them, always and forever. Um, and I hope that answers your question. But I was gonna say, my favorite email tip, by the way, whether you're new or you've been doing virtual assistant for years, is to match your client's tone. So tone matching is this very simple way to make your clients feel like you really get them, and it makes them like you more and feel more connected to you faster. What I mean by that is, um, I'll give you an example. I have a client who's super formal. I am not a super formal person. I like GIFs. I like emojis. I like an egregious amount of exclamation points. I am the least formal person in the world. But with this particular client, she is so formal that I know it would be this insane mismatch if I was sending her like cat gifs as she's like, "Dear Miss Booth." So I match her tone. So when she sends me a formal email, I respond in kind. I'm very formal back to her. So everything is very proper. There are no exclamation points. Everything is period, end sentence, serious, serious, serious. And by doing that, she thinks that we are like totally on the same page. And when we talk on the phone, she's always like, "Oh, you are the only person that really gets me." I'm like, "Lady, I'm the least formal person in the world. You just have no idea that I'm matching your tone on purpose because it makes people feel like you really get them." Versus I have other clients who are super informal. They use emojis, they talk in incomplete sentences. I can do the same thing. Or if they have key phrases that they like to use, I'm just going to give you an example. Not that this is, but if your client calls you dude, say dude back to them. Just match some of those tone and words, and they're going to feel through email. They're gonna feel like you have this really awesome rapport going on. So, fun, small trick. Yeah, you can. So the certificate for Udemy, you can put in your portfolio. Yes, you can. Don't think that certificates are going to be the thing that are gonna get you jobs because they're not. No, I know. Um, the courses that you take online, if any, are great for learning specific skills. However, certificates are not they're not accredited. They're not like universities. So, for example, if I were a client and I had 2 potential VAs in front of me, and one went to Harvard and was like, "I went to Harvard University," and the other was like, "I have a certificate because I completed a course." Those 2 are not equal. Like, on one hand, you'd be like, "Well, the Harvard person, because theoretically they have more education." That might not be true. You might be the superior VA, but you can't treat a certificate as if it carries the same weight as an accredited. It's because, again, like professors go to school to teach. They are in an accredited university, which is your or program, which usually means it's internationally recognized as like a viable learning environment. So courses are great. I take my own courses from other people all the time because learning on the job and learning new skills and learning new things that you can apply to your business are always necessary to make sure that you stay competitive and grow. However, they are not necessarily the thing that you want to lead with. You can say to a client on a call, um, "Oh, yeah, okay, Danielle, I like your comment. They show that you're serious about keeping your professional development." Yes. You know what? That's a very good counterpoint. I'm glad that you said that. They do show that you are serious about your professional development, and thank you for saying that. I'm glad that you did. Um, and just you need to I guess hit that home. You wouldn't necessarily want to be like, I have a certificate in, calendar management or email etiquette, but instead you could say, I have experience in, or, I'm experienced in, and this is what I've done. So just minor verbal change. But yeah, I'm super glad Danielle put that comment up there because I do agree with you. And thank you for that. Sweeta, may you suggest some courses for project management? I'm gonna be honest, I actually can't give you specific course recommendations for those only because I have not taken specific courses for stuff like Notion or ClickUp or Asana. My recommendation for you is start with YouTube. So Google Notion tutorial, ClickUp tutorial. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of tutorials on these tools. So my recommendation is always to start your educational funnel by starting wide. Watch free videos. That's a wide net because you're going to get a variety of people and a variety of experience. So watch those things. And then when you decide, let's just say, for example, you're like, I really like ClickUp, and I think that sales funnels are gonna be the thing that I'm gonna offer in my business because it makes sense to me and I like it and I wanna learn more. Then you wanna find a course on that specific tool. Um, Coursera is a good one. I do not have a channel recommendation, unfortunately. I would have to Google this myself. I recommend, again, going to YouTube, the YouTube search bar. You will start to find people that you like. You will start to find people who do tutorials like that. Or sometimes the company, like Notion, the company themselves has a YouTube channel. They do a lot of videos, how-to videos. But again, yeah, once you are like, I really like this particular tool and I want to learn more, or I think that like sales funnels are applicable to my business, then look for other courses. You can go to Udemy, you can go to Coursera, you can go to is Khan Academy one? No, I don't think so. I think that's school stuff. Um, but you can start to get a little more serious. So start wide, start with YouTube, start free, and then funnel it down. Um, but yeah, for channel recommendations, that's where the fun stuff comes in. That's when you get to start Googling. Google your heart out, my friend. See who you like and who you are attracted to. who makes the most sense. I'm trying to think of other, oh, LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn has their own learning platform. LinkedIn Learning is a really good place to also get a foundation because a lot of businesses and major brands will do LinkedIn Learning. Who else? edX is probably another one. Udemy, as you all know, I'm a fan of Udemy because I post a lot of stuff on Udemy. Yeah. Oh, guys, I've officially chatted your ears off for 1 hour. Yes. Oh, Danielle, you are the best source of information. Did you actually I actually did not know if you had a library card, you could take Coursera for free at LinkedIn Learning. I had no clue. I do have a library card, so I will be checking this out as well. Thank you for sharing that. That is exactly why I love this community because it's comments like yours that make us all 100% better. I'm so glad you said that. Had no clue. That's great. Yeah, LinkedIn Learning. That's awesome. Had no clue. Who doesn't love a library card? Um, okay. Any last questions before oop, my own clients are starting to blow me up. Any last questions before we wrap this up? And again, this video will live on YouTube forever. And thank you for submitting your questions ahead of time. We'll do this again, probably the last Thursday of May. And I'll again post a couple more questions just to prompt. So anything pertaining to your business specifically that you want to talk to, or if there's any like big general thing that you want me to go more in depth in, because it's I mentioned a lot of things. Well, thank you, Danielle. Thanks for all your comments today. You were on fire. Thank you all for your questions. They were fantastic. And if you guys have additional questions that you think of after the video, leave it in the community comments. And Sweeta, I will try to find some channels for you that I think are better than others. So I'll post those in the community comments as well. Thank you all very much. I had a blast. Um, I hope you're not tired of hearing me talk. I'm tired of hearing myself talk. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions, you know where to find me. And I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye.